welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in, and this is another episode of the original series. In this one I'm covering, as you saw the intro video, I'm covering the Seiko Samurai. So the thing with this watch, it's a very popular watch. It's become quite iconic now, and there's literally loads of reviews. And loads of reviews that are 10 times better than what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna give you my thoughts on this watch and why I like it. So if you haven't seen it before, this is the Seiko Samurai. There is a Mark 1 to this, which looks quite similar, and this is the Mark 2, as I call it. And these are your professional level dive watches. So you got the X in the center of the dial, and this is a Pro Specs model, which means professional specification. So as you can see, divers 200 meters, water resistance, and a Seiko dive watch. They use the 4R35 movement, which is the same as the NH35 that you see in a lot of the Chinese watches that they have. It comes with a date complication, and it has a Hardlex crystal stainless steel body case, as you can see here, and a solid back case. Now with this watch, I find this quite a lot with Seiko, and I don't know if anyone can agree. They have got a few watches out there where when you initially look at them, you think they're quite ugly, to be honest. I find the same with the Monster, and even this, I wasn't too sure. And then I just saw one for sale, and it's quite cheap. This is about maybe about 8 months ago or something. And then I just thought, okay, let's go buy it. And when I saw it, oh my God, I fell in love with it. So anyone who collects watches, no matter what brand you collect, obviously if you're super high end and you've become snobbish, then you probably won't look at them. But your average Joe, you have to have a Seiko Samurai within your collection. And this is another reason why I love Seiko. From time to time they do something very unique. Just look at the shape, the case. It's a very unique design. It's something which is breaking the mold a bit. Obviously not looking like the same watch that you see all the time. Let's just have a look. Let's do a few close-ups. So you can see it's got a waffle style design. Seiko on the top, automatic divers 200. Got a black chapter ring. You got a nice bezel. I like the way they've done the bezel. They've done the nailing around the bezel. It's a very comfortable grip to rotate the bezel with. Very nice click. Slight play within the, as all Seikos do. But I mean, in terms of, there's nothing really special in terms of the movement is, it's in your, entry level Seikos. It's just upgraded to the 7S36. It's the 4R or 7S35 movement. It's a 24 jewel, if I'm not mistaken, movement. So it's the basic entry level movement. But for me, the feature of this watch is the way it looks, the case. It's such an angular case. If you look how the end links for the bracelet fit in, look how that slopes down. Very angular case. On the side. And the side profile in a lot of watches, there's nothing fantastic about it, but this just looks absolutely, I don't know, there's something about it. It just looks big, bulky, mean looking. Fantastic watch. You know, even the dials, even the hands. You've got this sword style hand, you've got this arrowhead, hour marker, very short, but to the point. There's some grubby fingerprints on the dial. Let's clean that off. You've got applied loomed indices, nice and large. You've got a mixture of these sort of chevron style, and you've got baton, date window, the standard Seiko quality. One of my favorite things about this watch, and you know, when you wear it, not so much when you look at it, is when you go to change the time, is this fantastic crown. It's very different to a lot of the crowns they use, and you've got a lovely grip on it, and the knurling on it reminds me, if you're a gym nut, you'll love this, because it reminds me of how a barbell looks. So when you've got a dumbbell or the barbell, just the actual bar in between the weights, this is the exact same knurling you have on there. So it gives you a fantastic grip, and it's quite wide. It's a thick crown, which obviously makes it easier changing the time, adjusting everything. And you've got that red on the second hand. Now, I didn't notice this. My mate pointed out to me. Exact same hands as the Seiko Monster. Would you believe it? So, if you didn't know, go look at a picture of a Monster, and you'll see the exact same hands. You learn something new every day, don't you? Specs wise, as I mentioned, it's a 4R35 movement. It's got the hard Lex glass. Now, in my previous videos, you've heard me moan, why don't Seiko put sapphire, you know, this. A lot of people say that, but just to cut them a bit of slack, this is a dive watch. Now, obviously 95% of the people wearing this are not going to dive with it. So, like, I've seen, because I'm into different types of watches as well within the Seiko brand. Now, we've got like dress watches from Seiko, which are sapphire, and they're a lot cheaper than this. So I don't think it might be the cost option. I think it's more about being practical. So if you don't know, the thing with sapphire, yes, it is harder than hard Lex, but because it's so hard, when you hit it or something impacts it, it shatters upon impact. Whereas hard Lex will crack. So obviously, if you are underwater, you have taken it diving, and you hit your wrist off a rock or something, then with a crack, and there's a chance your watch will still be safe. Obviously, if you're sapphire, it literally will shatter there and then and ruin your watch. So, you know, let's give them cut them a little bit of slack on you know, practicality. So that's why it's hard Lex. I mean, as long as it's not scratched, it's okay. You can put like a sapphire crystal in there, a flat one, and the reason I say flat one, which brings me to a very interesting point. A lot of people out there in the modding culture, they mod everything, so SKXs, turtles, and for the most part, modding, I've only ever seen it to improve the look of a watch. So the SKXs, Sumos, the turtles look fantastic when you put like a double dome sapphire on there, slap on a ceramic bezel, you know, the standard mods. But for personally, now I don't know if you'll agree, but just my personal thoughts on it, I find you can't mod a samurai. Anyone I've seen that's even changed the bezel, you ruin the look. You know, if you put a double dome on there, it takes away from the shape what samurai is so much that it's unrecognizable. And for me, that's very off-putting, especially if you like the watch. Like I said, there is nothing, don't get me wrong, there's nothing amazing on the internals. You know, there isn't some groundbreaking movement. It's just a super reliable workhorse movement. But on the look side of it is when you do mod these, they just absolutely look yuck. And that's my, you know, personal opinion. Like I said, so with the if you want to get sapphire in there, because just to preserve the actual crystal, or if you've got one that's pretty much beat up, I'd get a flat one with no AR coating. Just try to keep it standard. The only thing I have seen that doesn't look too bad is a ceramic loomed insert, which I believe they had on WR watches, and there's a store, I think it's Chinese, LCBI, and they do the loomed bezel inserts. But it has to be a very standard stock-ish looking bezel insert to keep it looking like this. Otherwise, it absolutely takes away from what the actual watch looks like. So one thing that is not my favorite about the watch is like the bracelet. Like I like the bracelet, I love the shape, but when you hold it, so if I just hold this, it does flap around a lot, and what I mean by that is the weight is not very balanced, so all your weight is in the actual head of the watch. Your bracelet is quite light compared to it. Yeah, it is quite light compared to it. So that's just in your hand, it sometimes feels off balance. But other than that, I do like the bracelet. I've noticed something as well, I don't know if it's just me. This is probably my third Samurai. So I've had, every Samurai I've had, they do tend to scratch up pretty easily. And the scratches show up here because that is quite a wide surface area, but they do scratch up pretty easily. I don't know if that's just something to do with the bracelet or it's just me, my experiences, you know. And like I never buy watches brand new, except the Chinese ones, because obviously they were very affordable. With these watches, I don't see the sense. You buy it brand new, you're going to pay £400 for this. As soon as you bought it, you've already lost, within a few weeks of wearing it, roughly about 30 to 40% of the value. But because this is a super reliable movement, I've known people that have had Seikos for 8 years plus and they've not had a need to service them. A lot of times people think they need a service, they just actually need to demagnetize the watch. A friend of mine had an SKX, it was running, what was it, about 3 to 5 minutes fast. So we just demagnetized it, brought it down to 20 seconds a day, 15 seconds a day, which is well within the specifications. So yeah, I buy mine secondhand, and you can get pretty decent examples secondhand. Specifications, let's go into measurements. So your diameter is about 43.8 across. So on the large side, and then you've got a 22mm bracelet, and you've got a 13mm thickness. Now, seems like a large watch, but if I show it to you this way, you see here the lugs, that distance means, look how short that is. So just to give you a measurement of the lug to lug, just give us 1 second. The lug to lug is 48mm, believe it or not. Which is a great feature for this watch, because a lot of the times people with skinny wrists miss out on some really awesome and cool watches. But with this being 48, you know, I think the cutoff for a 6.5-inch wrist is touching the 50 point. So with this being 48, it'll fit over the wrist pretty nice. So let's have a look. Show you. Personally, I love how it fits on the wrist. I love the way it sits, and the lug ends and how they do taper down, not taper, sorry, the way they angle down. It's a very nice fit on the wrist. And that's one of my favorite features about the watch, the way it actually fits. Clasp wise, your standard pressed clamp, and then if clasp, sorry, and it's got your diver's extension there, which I've never used. And then on your back, you got your laser etched information here. So this is the 4R3501V0. Divers 200. Model number, this is the SRPB51, sorry, K1. They come in a few different color options. For me, the favorite one is, I love the gray. with the grey dial, and I like the black dial with the gold around the bezel. And those are the only two, but I do love the special editions. I think the Dawn Grey looks fantastic. You've got another, which I believe is limited, which is the Zimby, and it's grey with red around here, and it's got a Cyclops. I love that. I absolutely love the way that looks. And I'm hoping to get my hands on one through some miracle. And then you've got your Save the Ocean ones. I had to buy that just purely because of, you know, I like samurais and I love this special edition here. And they also come in the paddy, but with this you've got the black bezel, and then you've got your black crown. So that's how much I like this samurai. I've sold two in the past, and as soon as I've never been with that one, put it this way, since I first discovered it, I have not been with that one. So as soon as I've sold one, I've bought one, then I've sold one. So I haven't let my box be empty without a samurai. And I've seen these in a lot of people's collections. People that necessarily just don't collect Seikos, but they have a samurai in there. Second-hand market value, if that helps anybody out, you're looking anywhere between from 160 to about 220, depending on if it's a special edition or limited. But your standard one, you're looking at around that price mark. Again, depending on condition. These two I picked up secondhand. I think they've got just little blemish here on the bezel, and this is just slight little mark here, and obviously the bracelet's just got a few scratches on there. Personally, I don't give a damn about that. I love these watches. Okay, that's it from me. Please subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. As I've said before, I do love the comment section, and hit a like. Thank you for watching.